bringing good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. And tonight, we talk about functional medicine in its silo, and we talk about chiropractic in its silo, and we talk about acupuncture in its silo. We talk about fasting, and we talk about them as tools. But honestly, they're supposed to be a lifestyle. They are a way of living that is optimized. Hi, Kath. They're a way of
Hey,
living
Miss Kathy.
that is optimized for your body. It's like, so let's just touch on fasting again. Fasting is a fabulous way that if you're coming into me and you've got a hot low back, you have allergies, your joints are sore and achy, whatever the case may be, if you start to fast, you actually decrease the amount of inflammatory markers that are in there. But if you fast for too long, then you're starting to do what is called calorie restriction. And over time, that starts to raise cortisol because it's stressful. But you can still talk to, because of the way that she fasted and came out of it, she can now start to identify things that trigger her arthritic type conditions in her fingers. So tell them about that.
Meat. Don't eat meat.
I wonder if that is conventional meat or is it
I
the
don't eat meat.
pastured grass fed? Have you tested it?
No, I don't want my finger swells up, so I don't like it. I don't like meat. Bacon doesn't bother me. The good bacon. That's about it. It's all I eat.
And so
And some vegetables.
when you're looking at this stuff and you hurt, that's just an easy way to actually cut out a lot of inflammation because just the simple act of eating food is inflammatory. And if you have a leaky gut, then there's a problem. But like I said before, you can't sit there and not eat forever because eventually it's going to catch up with you. And then we talk about chiropractic. And so chiropractic is where we look at the nervous system. And so you have the brain, and all the spinal cord and all the nerves go from the brain and down through the spinal cord. And then every level goes out and feeds parts of the body. And it'll feed your heart, your lungs, your liver, your gallbladder. It feeds your eyes, your thyroid gland. That's how chiropractic affects a lot of different conditions. So, you hear chiropractors say that they can treat anything and everything. That's the way that they get away with that, because adjusting somebody's back literally touches every cell in the body, because when you get adjusted, it affects the hormones, it affects blood supply, it affects it all. And so you can start to bring these things together. So you have chiropractic adjusting that releases endorphins, and anybody that's had a hot low back and been adjusted knows that they feel better after an adjustment. And then if you start to do fasting and you take away the things that cause you inflammation, and I would say doing more of what they call time restricted eating or primal eating. And that's just where some days you eat one meal a day, some day you eat a couple times a day, but you vary it so that the body is always changing. There's a great book I'm reading right now called Fast Like a Girl, and that is to start to help with female hormones, because women's cycles actually used to cycle with the moon. That's why they called it lunacy. And what ends up happening is, if you can fast and time it right, when somebody gets ready to go on their period, they need to be eating more squashes and starchy foods because you need the sugar for the estrogen. And then afterwards, if you go back to a ketogenic style,
I think
so
it's actually progesterone is what needs that.
was it
It's
the progesterone?
not the estrogen. It's progesterone.
Okay, so
You need the sugar for the
that's
progesterone.
right. And so a lot of people will get rebound headaches. So if you know a woman that gets migraines right after her period, that's because her progesterone is dropping too low. So you can help control that, or she can help control that. And it's just learning these things. That's what's been lost. We have taken all of our knowledge and we've put it online to Google and YouTube, and eventually that knowledge is just going to exist on Google and YouTube, and a private corporation actually owns that. So then they can monetize that. I know I sound a little conspiracy theorist there, but
Yeah, we're getting way off topic. Libby says, "Get it back on the road."
I'm going to just rough her up. And so, last but not least, we talk about
She's a good dog.
acupuncture. And when we're looking at acupuncture, acupuncture takes.
Well, and just remember everything that we're talking about for people, you can do for dogs too. Because Libby here, she is a functional medicine dog. She has had her acupuncture and she's had her chiropractic adjustments,
And
and
her
it worked really
biome.
good for her.
And her biome. So it actually all works
It's for all the
together.
beasts of the world.
And so what ends up happening is you really need to make all parts of these things into your lifestyle. Because, once you make it a habit, and it's not hard to make eating good a habit, when you're eating good and healthy meals, they typically tend to be more anti-inflammatory. You typically get more bioflavonoids and polyphenols. And all I'm talking about there are leafy greens, and I'm talking about colors. And those help run the immune system. So they help the immune system turn off when the immune system needs to turn off. It helps the immune system turn on when it needs to turn on and go attack. So these are all things that go together. And if you want to get really nerded out about it, which I like to do, once you start to look at the microbiome, you can start to manipulate the microbiome. And if you need more of an immune system, you can raise the family of probiotics, or raise the family of bugs in your gut that are called firmicutes, because that is a more inflammatory type of gut. The higher the firmicutes, the more inflammatory it is. If you want to be less inflammatory, you start to bring in things like the Bacteroides and stuff like that. But that's actually just manipulating your diet. And that's the way, well, Jessica, now that she's fasted for so long and is starting to get into reintroducing foods and doing stuff, is starting to actually intuitively eat. And so she just kind of listens to her body and those cravings. If you have a craving for Twizzlers, that's not real food. That's not a real craving. That means your gut has been hijacked. But if you crave a hamburger, that might not be a bad thing. Now,
Or
if you're
green beans.
or green beans, or if you crave Brussels sprouts, today I wanted some salmon, and I was like, oh, must be getting low on my omega-3s, and so I went and made salmon. And I've tried to implement a little bit of what I've been reading about nutrition, about starting my day with more protein. And it's fascinating. And that's the big thing about functional medicine work is you experiment. You are the experiment of one. I can tell you how most people behave, and I can tell you how it works with a lot of people. But for Jessica, let's say, easiest way to get B12 for most people is grass-fed beef. But if you give that to Jessica, fingers don't work. And that's where I, as a doctor, have to listen. And I'm like, okay, well, then we have to look at other ways to get B vitamins in and work with her body. Whereas allopathic medicine, it doesn't care. If you want to stop something, you're going to stop. You're going to hit them with a COX-2 inhibitor. And this is just a hard stop. It's not working with the body. It's trying to force the body to your will,
She's
your way.
hungry.
We have a cat that
We have
has
a tiny-
entered into the house.
She's a tiny little beast.
And she's quick.
I've already fed her.
Give her a little more.
And she'll follow.
She will.
Well, good. Chase her down. We're going to turn the camera on Gracie here in a second and watch her chase the cat around the house as she refuses to get food.
Like feeding the cat.
She does circles around the living room.
So, going back to what we were discussing, is these things are all things that we have to implement for our own bodies and getting to learn our own bodies. But just like the class we're going to give on the 28th, a lot of people have tried a lot of different things. And when you've tried the foundational stuff and you're getting proper sleep and you're eating well and you're doing these things, when you're doing all of those things and you're not getting results, that's when you have to start to dig in. And just remember, you don't get this way overnight. So you have to expect to put some time in. And I've been working now for 3 years on my cholesterol, and I'm slowly seeing it come down. And that's the way I want to see it happen.
Just give her a cup of
Because
food,
if it
please.
happens fast, if I was to take a statin and just cut stuff right
Gracie.
off, then what happens
Go get her a cup of food, please.
is I would be immediately.
Go get her a cup of food, please.
And so if I was to use a statin, that would cut the cholesterol right off. I would be forcing the issue. And then as soon as I come off the statin, it's going to come back up. And now as they look at the way statins work, well, if you're not actually taking out the ApoB 100 or the LP little a, if you're not taking these things out, then you're not actually helping yourself. And when you use a statin, you're also killing your own hormones. So there's a lot to be said about this stuff. So that's a big long-winded way of saying we need to change things for all of us in America. We really need to change our food system. We really need to take our own health back. And one of the reasons why I say this is just think about it. If you think about how much money you pay in health insurance and think about how high your deductible is. We are seeing $10,000 and $15,000 deductibles. Are you really getting any benefit out of health insurance? It shouldn't be called health insurance. It should be called catastrophe insurance. And I am pleading with you to start to take control of your own health. And don't give that to doctors or medicine. You know, if your doctor is teaching you, great.
It's a little chaos here tonight,
no
isn't it?
kidding. I'm going to have to start to do this just at the clinic so we don't have beasts and kids everywhere.
These are good for your health, though, people. Everybody needs a good dog and a cat. Go to your local humane society and save a couple.
Helps your microbiome. But those are the things, you know, if the great thing about acupuncture, calms you down. Great thing about Reiki is it calms you down. Great thing about petting a dog, calms you down unless you grab its tongue and start to mess around with it. Those are the things that you want to do because it's just healthy for you. And please join us on the 28th.
Yeah, we won't have any beasts there, little or big.
Nope. We're going to have a Reiki practitioner there that will talk to you. I think she's going to be offering some complimentary sessions. We will have a health coach there as well. Elite Meals is going to be there. That's a meal prep service.
I will be there.
I'll be there. You'll be talking about IVs. So come and learn with us. Have a great night. Be safe.